Good morning, this sunny day. This is Kentucky Life with Debbie, and it's Wednesday, July the 23rd, 2025. And if I happen to look older, I'm sorry, but I did have a birthday yesterday and I turned 74, and I'm not talking about it anymore. So just accept it and go on. I don't like any recognition on my birthdays, like some people around here. If you could see this little desk I'm sitting at, I've got stuff splattered everywhere because I've got some really important stuff to share with you. One thing that I wanted to tell you about is I want to ask if anyone else has this. I don't know if it's a problem or what it is, but you see so many channels talking about decluttering, and that picture right there is kind of googledy, and that bugs me, but when I fix it, it doesn't stay level. So let's just not look at it, okay? Just look at me, and we'll just talk about really important things. But that does bug me. Do you know that when you eat out many times at Wendy's or maybe Arby's or anywhere, they give you little plastic forks? And then if you bring that food home to eat at your table or your counter, do you use those plastic forks? No, you want to dirty a real one and eat with a real one. So what do you do with the plastic? Well, if you were born back in the 50s or the 40s, your mother taught you don't throw stuff away. So you save them. So you have a drawer that you keep them in. And so this morning I thought, let's see if there's any other weirdos that can associate with this. Look what I found. This is enough plastic forks and knives to have 100 picnics. Or think how long I wouldn't have to wash silverware if I just put these out instead. Does anybody else have a bag like this? I'm not sharing them, because that's one of the things that I might need. Do you have some things that you might need in the future, and then if you needed them, you couldn't find them? But I think I wouldn't have too much trouble finding those. But I thought I would share that with you because it's so important. If there was just a craft I could make with all these forks, and there's some knives in there, and probably a few spoons. Now, Wendy's gives you a plastic spoon to eat your chili with. I wonder if that plastic melted in that chili. Wouldn't that be something? Aren't you glad to see that? Now, if you've got some, you might want to gather them up and put them in a little plastic bag so that you'll be able to find them real easily. Now, I want to tell you about going to the grocery the other day. Well, first of all, back in the spring, the cheerleaders in our county at the high school were selling peaches. They sold them like in March, and they're from Georgia. And you can buy a little box of peaches for like $30. And so I ordered some, and they came maybe the last of May or 1st of June. Really good peaches. I think I may have mentioned those before. And I would wash them, slice them up, peel them. My husband don't eat peelings on nothing. Apple, tomato, oranges, and peaches. So I washed them, peeled them, and I cut up several of them. I would cut up maybe 3 or 4 and cut them up in little bites, and put sugar on them, put them in the refrigerator, and he would eat them. He really enjoyed those. And then I froze about 3 or 4 little bags. Well, peaches are good. Everybody likes peaches. So at the grocery a few weeks ago, they had these little clear plastic bags with about 5 peaches in them. And I thought, well, my husband enjoyed those so much, I'd get him some more. So I brought them home, and then when you sliced them open, they looked really pretty from the outside, but when you sliced them open, they were like bruised. Well, you know, some people don't learn their lesson the first time they do something. So yes, last week I bought another little bag of peaches. By the way, he didn't eat those very well. So this morning I wanted to show you, here's one of the peaches. Look at it, how pretty it, well, there's one little one. Look how pretty it is. I washed it yesterday. I got about 3 or 4 of them out and washed them and peeled them. Now we're going to check this one out and see if it proves what I have just said. Now, see, I've not cut it before, so it's not being very cooperative, but let me see if I can cut a little piece out of it so you can see what I'm talking about. Well, this one is actually not as bad as some of them, but it still proves my point. Look at this. See this right here? On the ones I cut yesterday, it was all the way through. And then when you cut them up, they're kind of hard, but they look bruised. So I asked my husband, who is a world of intelligence, if that meant that they had been frozen and then thawed out. And you know what he said? I don't know. So the ones that I cut up yesterday, since they weren't what I thought he would eat, I decided to cook them, because you know what a Susie homemaker I am. I put those babies in a little pan and cooked them and put some sugar in them, and look. They look kind of like apple butter, but they're peach, but no, I didn't put any butter in them. But anyway, are you impressed? Now, if I'm not mistaken, I tried this trick one other time. And what happened was I burned one of my good little, I don't have that many little pans because I don't use them because I don't cook any more than I have to. I started cooking some peaches with sugar. And somehow my mind wandered elsewhere. And when I came back, they were stuck like sticky taffy to the bottom of the pan. And you probably remember, you know what I did with that pan? I threw it in the garbage. So yesterday I was really careful because I thought I don't want to throw another pan in the garbage. But now I could have done it very easily if I'd let that cook very much longer. Don't do as I do. I'm not buying any more of them peaches. I'm not making peach preserves. But I bet it would be good. But I can't taste it, so what difference does it make? I hope you guys are doing well this morning. Here it is, the middle of the week. And you know what tomorrow is? Garbage day. And it rolls around a lot quicker than you think it would. Also, last night, even though it was my birthday, I went to the monthly book club. Now, I think I had talked about this little book club that meets once a month at our local library. And each month we have a different book, and whoever wants to can sign up, sign a book out, read it. come back on the, let's see, this was the 4th Tuesday of the month. We meet on the 4th Tuesday of the month at 5 p.m. So I told my girl, I said, I'm going to the book club tonight, and guess what? I've not read the book. She said, you've not read the book, what are you going to do? I said, I'll just fake it. I said, I'll just let the other ones talk about it, and I'll just agree with them, whatever they say. Now you might ask, what was the name of the book? Well, this is what's the weird part. The book was My Old Kentucky Home. And it was written by Emily Bingham, who I think is from Louisville, Kentucky. And the book is about the song, My Old Kentucky Home, written by Stephen Foster, and what it meant back at that time, and how they've changed some words to it, but how it was very racial. And it was one of the most boring books I've ever looked at. I tried several times to get into it, and I just couldn't. And when you compare that with YouTube, YouTube is going to win out every time. So finally, Monday, I thought, okay, I'm going to do some crash reading. I'm going to read it Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday night, I'll be ready for the discussion. Couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it. So I went on last night feeling kind of like a fake going into the book club and having not read the book. I mean, what's the purpose? So when I got there, there ended up being 5 of us there. And 3 of the 5 had not read the book. So I was in the majority, and I felt really good about myself. I thought, you're not a complete failure. So then they still discussed the book, which I didn't like because it's just not my kind of book. But anyway, we had a good time. And one of them wished me a happy birthday. Now, next month, our book is The Alice Network by Kate Quinn. Has anybody read it? I like the feel of it better than I did the Old Kentucky Home book. So this one might be doable. I'm not sure. But now I won't feel as bad if I don't read it because I know that's a possibility. And then see, each month we have this little, I found my bookmark. This is July, August, September, October. That's Henry Winkler. That'll probably be a good one. Fonzie that played on Happy Days, November and December. And then on this side is the first 6 months. Isn't that interesting? Hey, something else I was thinking about. I went to church with my friend recently, and they get, I may have mentioned these before, they get these little upper room books. They're one of the, now everybody has their favorite little daily readings if you do any daily readings. These are really good. So each day you've got like a little page to read. And so there's something on there I want to share with you. But I was thinking about when I was a kid, when I was raised up, because, you know, where I live in Kentucky and Tennessee, and I'm not sure what other states are included, are known as the Bible Belt. Now, if you live in Washington or New York or Texas or, I don't know, some of those states, church may not have been that important as you grew up, people around you. I don't know that because I've not been, you know, I've never been around in those states to find out. But in Kentucky, and especially Tennessee, there was a strong tradition of going to church. And, you know, I was raised in church, and I've told you before, we went Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. If there was revivals, we went every night. And that would be like Sunday to Sunday. And very, very often when I was a kid, it would last 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. And as a kid, that wasn't very pleasant, or it was hard. It was hard at times to go that much, but you didn't have an option. You went and you kept your mouth shut. Nobody wanted to know if you wanted to go or not. You know, I don't remember ever missing church when we were, I don't know, maybe we weren't sick that much. I know I was a real sickly kid, but I don't remember missing church. It just wasn't an option. And today, when you look around here, even in the Bible Belt, and as I've watched other people around me, they just go to church when there's nothing else to do. Now, I couldn't do that. I just wasn't raised to do that. Hey, I'm not saying I wasn't just raised to do that. In my heart, I couldn't do that because I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful. I'm so blessed. And it's not because I go to church. It's not because I go to church. It's because of what I feel inside, that I want to go. Now, when we would go to church as a kid, at the end of the service, we would go in, have singing. Now, some of you may not have gone to church that much, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. You would go in a little bit early. Of course, if you were my dad, you got there an hour early. That's why I'm always early wherever I go. That's a good trait to have. All right, we would go in, sit down. Now, you could sit with your friends, but you can't talk. You just can't talk, or you would get fussed on by your parents, not by the preacher or anything. Go in, sit down. The congregation would sing 2 or 3 songs, might have a little special singing, like somebody might get up and sing one by themselves. The preacher would preach, and I'm telling you, it wouldn't be for 15 or 20 minutes. It could be a good hour. Then at the end, they would ask if anybody wanted to come up and pray, or, if there was anybody there that wasn't saved and wanted to come up and be prayed for, that you could do that. And then they would ask if people wanted to testify. Now, one person that's watching this might say, what does that mean? Well, when you testify, you just speak up and say you want to thank the Lord for how he's blessed you, that he saved you, your family. Maybe something's happened that week in your life that could have been a miracle, that you were saved, or somebody wasn't hurt or something, all different kinds of things. Well, as a kid, you would think, I hope Miss So-and-so didn't testify, or I hope Mr. So-and-so don't testify. There was one church I went to, and this lady, just such a godly woman. You would just hope that she wouldn't testify, because she would go on. It seemed like 30 minutes, but it was probably 5, maybe 10. She could go on and on and on. And as a kid, that wasn't very enjoyable. But now when I look back, I think how precious that was, and how that, we need to be thankful, and we need to thank God for what all he does for us. But as the years have gone on, they don't do that in churches anymore. You even look at, well, that sun is really coming through there. You look at maybe where you go to church, or churches that you watch online. For sure, the ones you watch online, they don't ask if anybody wants to testify. But that was a good time of the service, is for people were speaking out and, thanking God for all of his blessings, and for doing this and that, and healing people. Have you thought about that lately? So really, like when we're testifying, I'm testifying through this channel to you about how thankful I am, and grateful and blessed. I am so blessed. And you are too. If you're watching this, you're blessed. another thing I was thinking about, I was reading somewhere yesterday about, to keep, of course, the older I get, and since I'm retired and I have a lot more time than I had when I worked, to keep God in our minds and to stay close to Him, that it's a good idea to maybe write down verses. And I know at one time that I started doing that. I started writing down verses. I wish I could find that little book. I don't know if this is it. No, this is not it. I'll get it and show it to you sometime. Even just because I'm old and I need to keep my hands moving, just to practice my cursive writing, I would write down like a verse every day, or maybe more than one verse. And it really will soak in better for you if you do that. So if you don't do that, you might want to think about it. Just get you a little notebook, one of these from the dollar store, or just a lined sheet of paper. And if you're reading the Bible and you see a verse that you like, write it down. And you may look at it later. Just when you write things down, it helps you remember them better. Now, this little thing that I was reading this morning, and I thought it was so important, this upper room, I think I'm going to subscribe to this. This lady, and I don't know, it doesn't say how old she is. I'm thinking maybe kind of a young person, told her mother one time, said, I don't know how to pray or what to pray. And we've talked about that before. I think saying the Serenity Prayer is so powerful. And if you will, when you're feeling down, when something's really bothering you, if you say that prayer and let it soak in, believing, it will help you. I promise it will help you. Also the Lord's Prayer, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Powerful. I mean, that prayer includes so many things. But I'm going to say she was a young girl, told her mom, said, I don't know how to pray. How do I pray? And the mother said, just pray His name, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. So today, if you don't know how to pray and you need to pray, if something's bothering you, pray His name and He will hear you. And then tomorrow you might say, Jesus, please help me through this trial I'm going through. I'm so weak. I'm so tired. How much more can I take? Please help me. He will help you. And we're still keeping a prayer list of anybody that mentions in the comments that they need prayer or someone in their life needs prayer. There's amazing power in Jesus' name and in praying. So just try that, and don't try it, just do it. You'll be glad that you did. Now let me see if I've told you about everything I want to. Here I've gone on nearly 24 minutes. And I know that you're getting tired, but I've got just this little short one I'm going to read today. A little short funny. This nurse said, what happened to your fingers? Me. Those chefs who cut up vegetables real fast? The nurse said, yes. Me. I can't do that. Hey, it's going to be a beautiful day, and I would like to admit this. It's a tiny bit less humid this morning. Just a little bit. Because I walked outside on the porch. Just a little tiny bit. Now, it probably won't be by 12 o'clock. But for right now, it is. And I'm going to go pick up a little teenager and take him to the golf course in a little while. And then I'm going up and having lunch with my girl. Do you know that she is going to be gone next week, Monday through Friday, to a Cattlemen's Association meeting? Whew, I'm telling you, that kid, she's running all the time. And I'm so thankful. And I'm so thankful that you're here with me today. And hopefully you listen to this and it will encourage you. And you'll have a great day. And this is Wednesday. Tomorrow I'm going to have to drag that garbage out to the road by myself and feed the horses. Whew, Lordy. Thank you, Lord, for your blessings of giving me strength to do that. Have a great day and be nice and kind and don't do nothing stupid. Don't buy any of these peaches. They're just not worth it. Just forget it. At this time of year, they're probably not good anywhere. And I hope to see you Friday. So just keep smiling. See ya.